So student, today we are going to learn about the lesson number 2 in science 2, that is life processes in living organism part 1. Life processes in living organism. In this chapter we are going to study how the energy is produced from the foodstuff. Living organism and life processes. There are various types of living organism and their life processes. Living organism and energy production. Here we also study how the energy is produced in our body, from which components of food do we get energy, and which parts of cell performing the function of generation of energy. Some nutrients and energy efficiency. Here we also study some nutrients and energy efficiency, which are the nutrients which are necessary for the production of energy. And last, that is cell division of life processes. And last thing in this chapter is cell division. There are two types of cell division. Number one is meiosis and mitosis. All these 4 points we have to study in this lesson. Number one is living organism and life processes. Number 2 is living organism and energy production. Number 3 is some nutrients and energy efficiency. And number 4 is cell division, a life process. Cell division, there are two types of cell division we have to study. Number 1 is meiosis and number 2 is mitosis. Number 1 is living organism and life process. We have to study first part of this chapter, that is living organism and life processes. There are various organ systems in our body which are continuously performing function in the body. There are various organ systems which are continuously performing function in our body, and they are continuously performing function in coordination with each other. They are working with coordination. There are various systems like digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system, nervous system, excretory system, which are performing a function in our body, and all these systems require energy for their working. They all need energy. They work in coordination for their working. They need lots of energy to perform the function. They need energy, and therefore we need energy for performing these all activities in our body. That is digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system, excretory system and nervous system. All these systems are continuously performing their work in our body and produce energy, and therefore they required energy to perform their function in our body. Nervous system in our body require energy for their function, and therefore the body need energy. From where do we get energy? We get energy from the different types of food material. We get energy from the different types of food material, from such as carbohydrates, protein, fats, which are the sources of energy, and from which we get lot of energy for performing the various activities in our body. All these energy produced in the body in the part of cell, that is mitochondria. Mitochondria generates energy from the various types of food stuff, and therefore mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell. Therefore mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell. Overall, all the system more or less is similar in all the organisms. Overall, all the system more or less are similar in all the organism, and they require energy for performing different activities in our body. And they require energy for performing different activities in our body. And from where do we get energy? So we get energy from carbohydrates, we get energy from proteins, we get energy from fats and many other sources of food, such as vitamins, minerals, etc. Therefore, and these mitochondria, all this process of generation of energy takes place in mitochondria. Therefore, mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria generates energy in the form of ATP from foodstuff and oxygen. Mitochondria generates energy in the form of ATP from which material? From foodstuff and oxygen, and therefore mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell. Understand up to this? Next, we get different types of sources of from plants. We get different types of energy from plants, different types of food from plants, such as carbohydrates, protein, fats, mineral, vitamins. From where do we get? From plants. Plants are autotrophs. What do you mean by autotrophs? The plants which prepare their own food with the help of chlorophyll, sunlight, water, carbon dioxide. They prepare their own food, and therefore it is called as autotrophs. They prepare their own food and they utilize some of the part of food for themselves. They prepare their own food and they utilize some of the part of the food for themselves, and the remaining part is stored in various parts like leaves, fruit, root, stem, leaves, etc. Remaining part is stored in the part of plant like leaves, fruit, root, stem and leaves, etc. The foods is stored in different parts of the plant, and we eat all these parts of the plant. We eat fruit of the plant, we eat leaves of the plant, we eat root of the plant, we used to eat fruits of the plant, different fruits we eat, and therefore we eat all these parts of the plant and we get some of the material, some of the sources of energy such as carbohydrates, protein, fats, vitamins and minerals from plants. From where do we get all this material? From the plants. We get different types of energy from the plants. We get carbohydrates from milk, fruit, sugarcane, vegetable, potatoes, sweet potatoes and meat, etc. And many more things. From where we get carbohydrates? We get carbohydrates from milk, fruit, sugarcane, vegetable, potato, sweet potato, meat, etc. There are various sources of carbohydrates, and all of you know that 4 kilocalories of energy, 4 kilocalories of energy from per gram of carbohydrates. We get 4 kilocalorie energy from per gram of carbohydrates. Let's see, we get energy from the food stuff, and how we get energy from the food stuff we have to study it. All of you know that we get 4 kilocalories of energy from the per gram of carbohydrates. How many energy? 4 kilocalories of energy from per gram of carbohydrates, and we have to see how energy is produced in our body. Secondly, we have to see living organism and energy production. Living organism and energy production. In living organism, respiration occurs at 2 levels. All of you know that we respire with the help of nose, but our cell is also undergo the process of respiration. The cell will also perform the process of respiration. Therefore, living organism, respiration occurs at 2 levels. Number 1 is body level and number 2 is cellular level. Number 1 is body level and number 2 is cellular level. At body level, what will happen at body level? Oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged between the body and surrounding. In our respiratory system, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen is taken in the body and carbon dioxide is released out of the body. Therefore, there is exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide taking place in our body. Oxygen is taking inside the body and carbon dioxide is throwing out of our body. In our textbook, there is a picture of respiratory system. All of you see, and page number 13, the respiratory system, picture of respiratory system. That is, we respire with the help of nose. It consists of mouth, larynx, trachea, lungs, bronchi, diaphragm, and at last there is a alveolus. There is a branches of lungs, that is called as alveolus. This is the respiratory system takes place at body level. Body level. It is called as the body level respiratory system. There is an exchange of oxygen and surrounding in our respiratory system. Oxygen is taking inside the body and carbon dioxide is throwing outside the body through the nose. There is a respiratory, this is the respiratory system takes place at the body level. After that, respiratory system at cellular level. Foodstuff and oxidized are oxidized either with or without the help of oxygen. Foodstuff, that is, we taking the foodstuff, is oxidized in our body. But how? They are oxidized either with or without the help of oxygen. Without the help of oxygen. If the foodstuff is oxidized with the help of oxygen, it is called as aerobic respiration. It is called as aerobic respiration because foodstuff is oxidized with the help of oxygen. It is called as aerobic oxidation. And after that, the foodstuff which is oxidized without the help of oxygen, it is called as anaerobic respiration. It is called as anaerobic respiration. And all the two types of respiration are taking place at cellular respiration, at cellular level. There are two types of cellular respiration: aerobic respiration in presence of oxygen, it takes place in presence of oxygen, and anaerobic respiration, it takes place in absence of oxygen. In absence of oxygen. What do you mean by cellular respiration? We have to see here. We get energy from carbohydrates. Energy is obtained in mitochondria in the form of ATP. आता आधीच मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं होतं की आपल्याला एनर्जी ही कार्बोहायड्रेट्स पासून मिळते. एनर्जी तयार करण्याचं जे मशीन आहे ते आपल्या सेलच्या कोणत्या भागामध्ये? दॅट इज मायटोकॉन्ड्रिया. कोणत्या भागामध्ये? मायटोकॉन्ड्रिया. इट्स एनर्जी इज ऑब्टेन्ड इन द मायटोकॉन्ड्रिया इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ATP, दॅट इज ॲडेनिन ट्रायफॉस्फेट. फॉर दिस पर्पज ग्लुकोज टाईप ऑफ कार्बोहायड्रेट्स इज ऑक्सिडाइज्ड. आता आपल्याला माहित आहे की आपल्या शरीरामध्ये एनर्जी तयार होत असताना कार्बोहायड्रेट्स पासून जे ग्लुकोज मिळतं, इट इज ऑक्सिडाइज स्टेप बाय स्टेप. त्याच्यामध्ये खूप साऱ्या स्टेप आहे की ते कार्बोहायड्रेट्स पासून ग्लुकोज, आणि ग्लुकोजची काही एकदमच एनर्जी तयार होत नाही. ह्या ग्लुकोजला खूप साऱ्या प्रक्रियेमधून, खूप साऱ्या स्टेप्समधून जाऊन त्याच्यानंतर ATP तयार होत असतो. एक घेतला एकदम ग्लुकोज खाल्ल्याबरोबर एनर्जी तयार होते असं नाही. देअर आर सर्टन स्टेप्स. There are certain steps from which glucose is converted in the form of energy. And there are two types of respiration. I am already tell you about this. That is cellular level. There are two types of cellular level respiration: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic takes place in presence of oxygen, and anaerobic, that is, takes place in absence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration takes place in absence of oxygen. Therefore, here we study 2 points: Number 1 is living organism and life processes. How life processes taking place in our body in coordination with each other, and how they need energy for performing their function. त्या ॲक्टिव्हिटीज सगळ्या होण्यासाठी आपल्या शरीराला कशाची गरज असते? एनर्जीची गरज असते. आणि ही एनर्जी आपल्याला कुठून मिळते? जे आपण अन्नपदार्थ खातो त्या अन्नपदार्थापासून आपल्या सेलमध्ये काय तयार होत असते? एनर्जी तयार असते. आणि ही दुसरा मुद्दा आपण पाहिला, लिव्हिंग ऑर्गॅनिझम अँड एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन. आता एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन होत असताना आपल्या शरीरामध्ये 2 प्रकारच्या प्रक्रिया घडून येतात, ॲट द बॉडी लेवल अँड अनदर इज ॲट सेल्युलर लेवल. सेल्युलर लेवलमध्ये 2 प्रकारचे रेस्पिरेशन असतात. नंबर 1 इज एरोबिक रेस्पिरेशन अँड नंबर 2 इज एनरोबिक रेस्पिरेशन. अँड aerobic respiration is in this aerobic respiration glucose is oxidized into 3 steps. Glucose is oxidized in 3 steps, and from these 3 steps we get energy that is in the form of ATP in our body. So after next session we will see how energy is produced from glucose.